Howdy folks, welcome to the channel. As promised, I'm starting off with a sip of coffee out of my Larry's Country Diner mug that Randall Fryer just sent me. And so thank you. I'll take an official sip. I still want to get down to Larry's Country Diner. I don't know if the set is still there. I doubt it, but anyway, I love to get down there I would have loved to have been to a show there. But who wouldn't? Anyway, I've got a gift request now from G-Dubs, George Woodruff, who made a gift for me to do a 42-minute documentary of George Jones. So G-W, thank you for this gift and this request. It's going to be broken down into 3 parts. One today, one tomorrow, and one day after. And GW said, this is the most honest documentary about George Jones I have ever found. It's George Jones from Possum to Icon. And I got it from Country Music Spotlight. I'll put the link down below so you could go see their channel and what they've got over there too. That's just how we YouTubers kind of do things. All right, guys. George Jones from Possum to Icon, courtesy of George Jones's worldwide #1 fan, George Woodruff, a.k.a. GW.
George Glenn Jones was born on September 12, 1931, in Saratoga, Texas, and was raised in Cozumel, Texas, with his brother and 5 sisters in the Big Thicket region of southeast Texas. His father, George Washington Jones, worked in a shipyard and played harmonica and guitar, while his mother, Clara Patterson, played piano in the Pentecostal church on Sunday.
Yeah.
During his delivery, one of the doctors dropped Jones and broke his arm. When he was 7, his parents bought a radio, and he heard country music for the first time. Jones recalled to Billboard in 2006 that he would lie in bed with his parents on Saturday night listening to the Grand Ole Opry and insisting that his mother wake him up if he fell asleep so he could hear Roy Acuff or Bill Monroe.
That's awesome.
In his autobiography, I Live to Tell It All, Jones explained that the early death of his sister Ethel spurred on his father's drinking problem, and by all accounts, George Washington Jones could be physically and emotionally abusive to his wife and children when he drank. In The Life and Times of a Honky-Tonk Legend, Bob Allen recounts how George Washington Jones would return home in the middle of the night with his cronies, roaring drunk, wake up a terrified George Jones, and demand that he sing for them or face a beating. In a CMT episode of Inside Fame dedicated to Jones's life, country music historian Robert K. Orman marveled, "You would think that it would make him not a singer, because it was so abusively thrust on him. But the opposite happened. He became a chronic singer. He became someone who had to sing."
Yeah.
In the same program, Jones admitted that he remained oblivious and resentful towards his father up until the day he died, and observed in his autobiography, "The Jones family makeup doesn't sit well with liquor. Daddy was an unusual drinker. He drank to excess, but never while working. And he probably was the hardest working man I've ever known." His father bought him his first guitar at age 9, and he learned his first chords and songs at church. And several photographs show a young George busking on the streets of Beaumont. He left home at 16 and went to Jasper, Texas, where he sang and played on the KTXJ radio station with fellow musician Dalton Henderson. From there, he worked at KRIC radio station. During one such afternoon show, Jones met his idol, Hank Williams. "I just stared," he later wrote.
Yeah.
In 1989 video documentary, Same Old Me, Jones admitted, "I couldn't think or eat nothing unless it was Hank Williams, and I couldn't wait for his next record to come out. He had to be really the greatest. He married his first wife, Dorothy Bonvallen, in 1950, but they divorced in 1951. He was enlisted in the United States Marines until his discharge in 1953. He was stationed in San Jose, California for his entire service.
Korean War.
Jones married Shirley Ann Corley in 1954. His first record, the self-penned No Money in This Deal, was recorded on January 19th and appeared in February on Star Day Records, beginning the Singers Association with producer and mentor H.W. Pappy Daly. The song was actually cut in Star Day Records co-founders Jack Starnes' living room and produced by Starnes. Jones also worked at KTRM, now KZZB, in Beaumont around this time. DJ Gordon Baxter told Nick Torch that Jones acquired the nickname Possum while working there. One of the DJs there, Slim Watts, took to calling him George P. Williker Picklepuss Possum Jones. For one thing, he cut his hair short like a possum's belly. He had a possum nose and stupid eyes like a possum. During his early recording sessions, Daly admonished Jones for attempting to sound too much like his heroes, Hank Williams and Lefty Frizzell. In later years, Jones would have little good to say about the music production at Starday. Jones' first hit came with Why Baby Why in 1955. That same year, while touring as a cast member of the Louisiana Hayride, Jones met and played shows with Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash. I didn't get to know him that well, Jones said of Presley to Nick Torch in 1994. He stayed pretty much with his friends around him in his dressing room. Nobody seemed to get around him much any length of time to talk to him.
Now, I'm wondering where he's getting all this information from, because it's a lot of research that goes into doing this. So the folks at Country Music Spotlight, I glanced at some of the videos when you sent me over to their channel there, GW, to get this video, and they've got stuff on, Keith Whitley and all this stuff. But this thing here, I'm listening, I'm like, it sounds like some of it is gleaned from a book or books, others maybe articles, others specials on TV, others could be Wikipedia, but this kind of thing takes a lot of research to do, because it sounds like to me it's one gentleman, and maybe he's got assistants and helpers, but there's a lot of work that's going into this.
Jones would, however, remain a lifelong friend of Johnny Cash's. Jones was invited to sing at the Grand Ole Opry in 1956. With Presley's explosion in popularity in 1956, pressure was put on Jones to cut a few rockabilly sides, and he reluctantly agreed. His heart was never in it, however, and he quickly regretted the decision. In his autobiography, he joked, "During the years when I encountered those records, I used them for frisbees." He explained to Billboard in 2006, "I was desperate. When you're hungry, a poor man with a house full of kids, you're going to do some things you ordinarily wouldn't do." I said, "Well, hell, I'll try anything once." I tried Daggum It, How Come It, and Rock It, and a bunch of shit. I didn't want my name on the rock and roll thing, so I told them to put Thumper Jones on it. And if it did something good, if it didn't, hell, I didn't want to be shamed with it. Jones went on to say he successfully attempted to buy all the masters to keep the cuts from surfacing later, which they did. Jones moved to Mercury in 1957. In early 1957, Jones teamed up with singer Jeanette Hicks, the first of several duet partners he would have over the years, and enjoyed yet another top 10 single with Yearning. Starday Records merged with Mercury that same year, and Jones scored high marks on the charts with his debut Mercury release of Don't Stop the Music. Meanwhile, Jones was traveling the back top roads in a 1940 Packard with his name and phone number emblazoned on the side. Although he was garnering a lot of attention and his singles were making very respectable showings on the charts, Jones was still playing the blood bucket circuit of honky-tonks that dotted the rural countryside.
Yeah.
In 1959, Jones had his first #1 on the Billboard Country chart.
I just want to point out this thing that I pointed out before. Anytime you hear this phrase, so-and-so was an overnight success, no, they weren't. They're doing exactly what George Jones is here. They're playing every honky-tonk. They're playing wherever they can. They're getting good with rapport. They're building the repertoire of songs that work and don't work. They have disastrous performances. They might have one person show up to a show or what have you, but they're learning. But an overnight success only means that you just heard of them. That's it. You and maybe a bunch of other people just heard of them because they have a good song. But they put in years behind the scenes.
With White Lightning, ironically a more authentic rock and roll sound than his half-hearted rockabilly cuts. In the Same Old Me retrospective, Johnny Cash insisted George Jones would have been a really hot rockabilly artist if he had approached it from that angle.
Yeah.
Well, he was really, but never got credit for it. White Lightning was written by J.P. Richardson. One aspect of Jones's early career that might be overlooked is his success as a songwriter. He wrote or co-wrote many of his biggest hits during this period, several of which have become standards, such as Window Up Above, later a smash for Mickey Gilley in 1975,
yeah,
and Seasons of My Heart, a hit for Johnny Cash, and also recorded by Willie Nelson and Jerry Lee Lewis. Jones wrote just one more, also recorded by Cash, Life to Go, a top 5 hit for Stonewall Jackson in 1959. You Gotta Be My Baby, and Don't Stop the Music, on his own, and had a hand in writing Color of the Blues, covered by Loretta Lynn and Elvis Costello, Tender Years and Tall, Tall Trees, co-written with Roger Miller. Jones' most frequent songwriting collaborator was his childhood friend Darrell Edwards. Jones signed with United Artists in 1962 and immediately scored one of his biggest hits of his career, She Thinks I Still Care. His voice had grown noticeably deeper during this period, and he began cultivating the singing style that became uniquely his own. During his stint with UA, Jones recorded tribute albums to Hank Williams and Bob Wills, and cut an album of duets with Melba Montgomery, including the hit We Must Have Been Out of Our Minds. Jones was also well on his way to gaining a reputation as a notorious hellraiser.
Yeah, you knew that was coming.
In 1964, Pappy Daly secured a new contract with Musicor Records. For the rest of the 1960s, Jones would score only one #1, 1967's Walk Through This World With Me, but he practically owned the country music charts throughout the decade. Significant hits include Love Bug, a nod to Buck Owens and the Bakersfield Sound, Things Have Gone to Pieces, The Race Is On, My Favorite Lies, I'll Share My World With You, Take Me, a song he co-wrote and would later record with Tammy Wynette, A Good Year for the Roses, and If My Heart Had Windows. By this point, Jones' singing style had evolved from the full-throated, high, lonesome sound of Hank Williams and Roy Acuff on his early Starday records to the more refined, subtle style of Lefty Frizzell. In 2006 interview with Billboard, Jones acknowledged the fellow Texan's influence on his idiosyncratic phrasing. "I got that from Lefty. He always made 5 syllables out of one word." Jones's bin drinking and use of amphetamines on the road caught up with him in 1967, and he had to be admitted into a neurological hospital to seek treatment for his drinking. Jones would go to extreme lengths for a drink if the thirst was on him. Perhaps the most famous drinking story concerning Jones occurred while he was married to his second wife, Shirley Corley. Jones recalled Shirley making it physically impossible for him to travel to Beaumont, located 8 miles away, to buy liquor. Because Jones would not walk that far, she would hide the keys to each of their cars they owned before leaving. She did not, however, hide the keys to the lawnmower. Upset, Jones walked to the window and looked over his property. He later described his thoughts in his memoir. There, gleaming in the glow, was the 10-horse-powered rotary engine under a seat, a key glistening in the ignition. I imagine the top speed for that old mower was 5 miles per hour. Yep. It might have taken an hour and a half or more for me to get to the liquor store.
And back.
But get there I did. Years later, Jones comically mocked the incident by making a cameo in the video for All My Rowdy Friends Are Coming Over Tonight by Hank Williams Jr. He also parodied the episode in the 1993 video for One More Last Chance by Vince Gill.
All right, I'm going to stop there. That's at 14 minutes, which is just about a third of the way. And this is one of the most interesting presentations I've seen, and the amount of work that went into it. And I think the channel that it came from, Country Music Spotlight? They've got 164,000 subs. And I love this kind of entrepreneurial bent, if you will, and effort, but there's a lot of work that has gone into this, not just the images, but the information and the recording of it and so on. But GW, yeah, this is good for those who are real hardcore country fans. This traditional country fans, not the newer stuff, but traditional stuff. This is enlightening. I mean, you've got Lefty Frizzell in there, you've got Senior in there. I mean, right on down the line, you could talk of Elvis and Johnny Cash and such, but his beginnings, and then of course we know about, drinking and amphetamines and this kind of stuff, and but he still owned the country airwaves, as he said, in the 60s, in spite of having just one number one hit. But I mean, if you even have one number one hit, people know your name. But in that period of time, he would have had numerous top 10 hits, and you're doing quite well when you have numerous top 10 hits along with the number one. But he was spiraling, as we know. The lawnmower incident is just a famous thing. So anyway, all right, guys, that's part one. And I hope you enjoyed that. I learned a lot, and just still mostly because I write a lot, and also being in front of the camera as I am doing all these reactions, the amount of work that they did over there at CMS is still, I'm like, wow. So you can go check them out. See you on another video, the next episode, part 2. Have a great day and keep rocking the country.